Hi, Rainer.
Hi, Anna.
Good to be here. We were just talking about how weird it is to meet everyone in person, and it's a bit tiring for the voice.
It is true. It feels like TechChill is one of the first big meetings where people post-COVID, post-winter are kind of let loose. So it's like, pow! So we have this challenge that how to keep everybody engaged in this talk on the second day at 3 p.m.-ish. So let's try.
Let's try. So we have another challenge around here, around this world, the challenge of talents. How do you see, what's the employment and job market? What are the trends currently?
So I've been a founder and tech executive for 20 years, and today I'm a managing partner of NordicNinja, which is a Japanese VC fund. So we see a lot of employers and we see a lot of startups who invest in. And so my home country, Estonia, where I come from, we have currently a booming startup ecosystem. We have, in addition to 10 unicorns that people keep talking about, we have a thriving tech ecosystem beyond the regular startup ecosystem, so the whole IT and tech-driven community. So that means that we have over 10,000 IT specialists missing. And we're projecting that the whole tech sector, the expanded tech sector, will generate about 30% of GDP by year 2030. And even today, the tech sector is the equivalent of the food production sector. So what that means is that we need to completely reevaluate how we train people, how people themselves are competitive in the job market, because the universities and vocational schools together, their output is about 1,500 people per year, whereas we have over 10,000 people missing, and it's only growing. So with that, we started this free programming school for adults called Code.
Yeah, I can totally relate to this from Latvian statistics inside. So the Ministry of Economy has this projection that by 2025, which is like in 3 years, we're going to be missing about 20,000 tech employees here in Latvia. So if we look at the Baltics, it's probably, we could say, I don't know, 50,000 that we can project in the upcoming couple of years. And the same situation that from the universities we get around 1,000, maybe 1,500 guys and girls coming out. So that is not filling the gap at all. So you have the school, Code. How is it different than the usual education system?
It is quite different. So Code Yofi is based on a self-learning platform called 01 Education System, which has been developed by the French. And the way it works is that we have no teachers, we have no classes. Everyone studies at their own pace, and so it takes anywhere between 18 to 24 months to go through the whole program. Everybody starts in the same kind of starting point. Some people are faster, some people are slower. The speed is individual. It doesn't mean somebody's better than another person. Then there are different specialities. Some people will focus on user experience, some people in databases, some people in securities, and all kinds of different other aspects. And additionally, it's a peer-to-peer model, many-to-many, so we don't have like one person in front of the class, speaking monotonously 24/7. So instead, people study at their own pace. They Google stuff. If you don't know, you ask another person, very much emulating how, for example, the Linux ecosystem was built. Developers were building themselves. You didn't have anyone else to ask from because you were doing something new. And so then that's one side of this whole thing. The other side is that we have a lot of emphasis on teamwork and problem solving. So coding itself is only a very small portion. It's, programming languages in essence are the easy part. You need to understand logic, problem solving, and then teamwork. So the whole environment is such that from Monday to Friday, you're mostly performing individual tasks, even though you can do that together, but your contribution is individual. And over the weekends, we have teamwork assignments where we can evaluate teamwork and teach people how to solve problems in teams. So it very much emulates how modern software companies are working. And so generally, when you think about hiring, when you hire somebody into your company, then it generally takes about 6 months for them to generate usable code. And in a way, we are thinking about our students as trainees who are not yet hired in those companies. And then what we also do differently is that we have an incentive program where our business model is such that if our people graduate and that person gets hired by some tech company, then we get a placement fee. So that's so the school is free and we get a placement fee. So we're incentivized to provide great education. The tech ecosystem obviously wants more trained people, and then because every click that you make through that program is saved, it creates a profile of that person, of their strengths and weaknesses. So instead of saying, you know, here's your grade list or whatever, nobody cares about grades. I haven't looked at like grades in over 10 years when I'm employing people. I'm asking questions, what do you know, what can you do? And then that's very useful for an employer if they can get a profile. It's like, oh, here's what I've been working on. Like I was focused on, you know, Go language. I created this database. You know, we created some, you know, I don't know, social network as a exercise. You know, whatever. So it's kind of like you see what they already are interested in, what their strengths are, and that's much easier for an employer to evaluate if this is a great fit. So we believe there's no wrong person. It's just the wrong person in the wrong job. So you can find always you know, a job for them, and not everybody needs to become some hyper awesome programmer. There are so many jobs, so there's no such thing as a tech company. There's, you know, like tech. All competitive companies are tech enabled these days. So you know, we talk about Bolt. It's a transportation company that runs on technology. So it's kind of like that.
Exactly. When I'm listening to this, I'm thinking like this is a huge culture shift in education. And of course it comes from the huge culture shift also in companies. But when I've been, so Riga TechGirls is also working with bringing people into the tech world. So we try to get women interested, and we have education programs. And something that I've noticed is that it's a huge challenge for the people themselves to kind of get into this mindset, the new mindset of tech companies, where you have to work exactly the way that you're describing. You have to search for the information on your own. Nobody will give you anything served on a silver platter. So the students that enroll in your program, how do they feel throughout the program?
Well, we like to think that they feel excited, but obviously we know that there's, you know, stress, there's sleep deprived, like, you know, any other life, and so we have quite a lot of kind of mentoring in that sense. So we do have a team where we encourage people, where we help them. We have what we call the code talks. So we have people from actual companies coming to explain how they work. So there's always that endless work in terms of encouraging and helping people to think about their own performance, I guess, so that, you know, it doesn't make sense for you to overwork. And then how, you know, to take a break. And so that part of the school is, I think, very different from a regular school, because it is fun and based on hands-on activity. So for example, if you go to get a bachelor's degree in CS in a university, which you should go and do that, because we are retraining adults who already are professionals. But just as an example, all hours that we provide are hands-on, so 4,000 hours of coding. If you take a regular bachelor CS degree, then today there's 160 hours of programming, unless you do that on your, you know, spare time. So we like to think that the cultural shift it just feels like a cultural shift, but in reality we're doing things like our brains work. Like if a baby starts, you know, walking, they fall down, then they figure out how to walk. There's no books that you read first and how to walk, and then it's like start walking. It's kind of useless. Or like a regular school is like, first you need to read these 3 books on bicycles before you can ride a bike, and this is what the materials this chain is made of, and all this crap. And so in our case, you learn how to ride the bicycle, you fall down, okay, you figure out how not to fall, then the chain breaks, then you figure out what this chain is made of, maybe I can revisit that, and then you can start kind of solving the problems. And so that's how the human brains work, how that's how we are actually training machine learning algorithms around the world. And it's only a matter of time until the education system is going to be also emulating the actual biological processes of our brain. And because the system that we have right now is still from the 19th century.
Exactly. That's it. I mean, I think that everybody's already kind of familiar with that. The lecturing, actually, the lecturing system where there's a teacher and there's a class. I think that comes like hundreds of years ago. It's not even from the 19th century. But 19th, 20th century, this worked because we needed to prepare factory workers who, repeat a job all the time, and now it's completely different. But still, I think there's this culture shift in the sense that when they go through the regular school system, right, they are used to being given information and performing tasks to get grades. And I see that a lot also when you get into employment, which is a problem. So you get into employment and you suddenly feel like, okay, nobody is giving me anything ready. I need to figure stuff out on my own. So it's a hard thing to do.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, sure.
About Riga TechGirls. So we know our system works because we have 200 students in our first cohort, and we had 3,300 people apply. And we have 30% of them are women, and we have 16 different nationalities in the first cohort. In the second, I think we're going to have over 50 nationalities because we see the applicants already today. But we still need to encourage more women to apply. And I wanted to know how you are doing this here at Riga TechGirls.
All right. So first of all, what we're doing, we are showing role models. We want to show women and girls that women and girls are super welcome and that they can perform well in the tech world. So that's the base level, the first step. Second step, kind of unfortunately, we need to encourage them to believe in themselves. So a lot of women and girls during the school years or even when they start their job positions, they get this kind of internal and external discouragement from working with technology. And so we need to change this stereotype. What we do, we work with both young girls in the ages between 8 and 12 to show them that STEM and technology is super exciting and they could reach great goals there. And we also work with grown-up women showing that they can do it. So basically providing just, these touch points where they can try to write their first line of code and realize, geez, that's not actually hard or difficult in any way. And then we have kind of more advanced and longer education programs where the base that we provide is the opportunities that you can take. So we show them what types of professions exist, what can they actually do, and we try to show them the everyday life of the people who work in these positions, and to show them a lot of women there as well. So they see that, okay, actually being a data scientist means this, being a tester means this. And it's not all just hardcore programmers, so we can see a lot of different roles, and that's where they get the interest, because a big part of the society is not informed about all these different possibilities that you have in the tech field. And then the third step is already kind of practical courses on programming, on different types of knowledge, and a mentorship program as well, where we kind of individual mentors work together with them to find that exact place in the tech world where they want to get and where they belong. But I see that code could be kind of this next step that we can suggest to many of the women who figure out, okay, so tech world seems super interesting to me, I want to get there, what's my next step? So code is definitely one of the steps to take as the next one after our programs.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, we already have, out of all the students, 9% are Latvians. So cool. Latvians were the only nationality last year that came from Latvia. Because COVID, everybody else was, all the other 15 nationalities were already in Estonia at the time. So I think we have a lot of parallels here, yes.
I agree totally. So yeah, and in this our base program where we talk about the different professions, that one we don't do any selection, so it's free for anyone who wants to join. We have also some men joining that program, and yeah, in 2020 we had 4,600 participants, and last year 6,000 participants. So.
Wow.
It's a wide range of people, all ages, from many different regions. So we see that there's a lot of interest in understanding technology in the technology field. So I think there's also potential that we could try to kind of fill this gap of 20 and 10,000 people that we're missing.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. You know, our goal, well, last year we admitted 200 people, and our goal by year 2030 is to admit 2,000 people in the same kind of year. But obviously that's not going to happen only from one location the way it's running now. We're renovating this old telephony building for 5,000 square meters so that we could have a working and living environment where you can study and live 24/7, because we don't have traditional like summer breaks or winter breaks. It's up to you. But we already have more than a dozen cities in Estonia and also in Finland interested for us to come and bring code to their city. Although we're not tied to one city, but they have witnessed what it can do to the local kind of community.
And this brings me to the last question that I wanted to ask. So can you tell me what the name of the school means?
Oh yeah, this is so the school is called Code, which means code for Estonian, and sometimes it's also, like in English you say it's code for X or something. So it's a wordplay on the word for school in Estonian is kool, and code is code. So we're not really building like a school, we're building code. So that's why it's code, and it's super easy to use that with other cities. So code Jõhvi, code Riga, code New York, whatever you want. Sky's the limit. So we like that approach, and we're sticking to it.
So like TechChill Milan, there could be code next, whatever you choose. Yeah. All right. But yeah, while talking to you, I was thinking, so you mentioned that you get a fee when people are hired after the course. How does it work? Do you work together with the companies first, or like what's the agreement there?
The way the system got started was that we got government support to renovate the building, so concrete. So we got some money for atoms, but then we needed some more money for hiring the team and for the software license, and that's when we turned to private companies and private sponsors, individuals, to tech founders as ourselves, but then also to companies like Bolt, Wise, Pipedrive, and so on. And so the support there also means their engagement. So when we have already close to 30 different private sponsors today, including atypical things like banks and all kinds of others, who also have a very sizable technology arm because they have to.
Of course.
So we are bringing them into the process with the talks and seminars. They already are going to be meeting the students around June. So 1 year after people have started, they already will start meeting with the students and people. And the student age range is also very cool, because then it's not like, it's between 18 now and 62 is the oldest. So the average age is about 27. So we're talking about working professionals that are coming just from a different field, from all walks of life, really. And so that engagement, that sponsorship, and that process helps us to kickstart this community. But that's only, how you get started. Later on, when we have our first successes, because we still haven't had our first graduates yet. After we have our first successes, we can showcase those successes, and then companies will know where to come. And we already anyway have more demand than we have supply. I mean, 200 people is just so little. Yeah.
It's a droplet.
Yeah.
Okay, so my conclusion from what I just heard is that basically to work with this challenge of employment, we need to change the education process and education system, and we need the government and the private sector coming together to change that.
Yeah.
I think that's what we can kind of finish up with here.
Yeah, agreed.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna.